Picture this. A woman stands at a door, perfectly capable hands at her sides, waiting. A man rushes past 3 other people to reach that door first, to open it, to fulfill what he believes is his duty. She smiles politely. He feels virtuous. But here's the question nobody's asking: who decided she needed saving in the first place? This is the story of how we built a cage and called it a castle. Let's rewind. Medieval Europe. Castles dot the landscape, and inside their stone walls, a code is being written not in ink, but in blood and tradition, chivalry. The word itself comes from the French chevalier, meaning horseman, knight, warrior. But here's what they don't tell you in the fairy tales. Chivalry wasn't created to honor women. It was created to control warriors. Knights were essentially armed thugs on horseback, and the church needed to domesticate them, so they crafted a code. Protect the weak. Honor the ladies. Serve God and King. Sounds noble, right? But look closer. Protect the weak assumed women were weak. Honor the ladies meant only certain women: the wealthy, the pure, the ones who stayed in their prescribed boxes. And serve God and King. Well, that kept everyone in their proper place. Chivalry wasn't freedom. It was a gilded leash. Here's where it gets insidious. Patriarchy is remarkably clever. It doesn't survive by being obviously oppressive. It survives by wrapping chains in velvet and calling them jewelry. Imagine you're building a system where one group holds all the power. You could use brute force, but that's exhausting and eventually breeds rebellion. So instead, you create a narrative. You tell half the population you are precious, delicate, worthy of protection. You open doors, you pull out chairs. You speak of honor and respect, and in exchange, she gives up her voice in government, her right to own property, her claim to her own children, her bodily autonomy. But it's fine because he opened the door. This is the trap of benevolent sexism. It feels good. Both sides can point to it and say, see? We honor women here. Meanwhile, the actual power structure remains untouched. Chivalry became the spoonful of sugar that helped the patriarchy go down. Now, fast forward to today. You might think, but we've evolved. We've moved past this, have we? A woman gets harassed on the street, and someone says, "Where's the chivalry anymore?" As if harassment disappeared when men remembered their manners. As if respect is a door being held open, not a voice being heard in the boardroom. A woman asks to split the check, and she's told she's killing romance. But nobody asks why romance requires her financial dependence. A woman carries her own luggage, changes her own tire, opens her own business, and still someone performs elaborate gestures of help she didn't request, then feels insulted when she doesn't perform gratitude. Here's the truth. Real chivalry in the modern world would be believing women when they speak, sharing domestic labor equally, paying them the same wages, respecting their autonomy, fighting alongside them, not for them because they were never damsels, and this was never their distress. Now, before you think this is about whether men should open doors, stop. This isn't about manners. Kindness is universal. Holding a door for anyone is lovely. Helping someone who needs it is human. But let's be clear about the difference. Kindness says, I see a person who could use help, and I'm offering it. Chivalry says, I see a woman, and therefore she needs my help. One respects agency, the other assumes incompetence. Patriarchy built a system where men held all the power, then offered chivalry as compensation. Like a thief who steals your legs, then magnanimously offers to carry you. It's not generosity, it's gaslighting. So here we are, centuries later, still arguing about who opens doors while the real doors to boardrooms, to bodily autonomy, to equal partnership remain guarded. The patriarchy doesn't need knights anymore. It just needs our continued confusion about what respect actually means. Real respect isn't performative. It doesn't require costumes or codes or elaborate gestures. It's simple. See people as whole. Listen when they speak. Share power rather than ration it. Treat women like complete human beings, not precious objects in need of careful handling. The castle was always a cage. The knight was always a guard, and the damsel. She was never in distress until someone wrote her that way. So the next time someone invokes chivalry, ask them this: are you offering kindness, or are you just nostalgic for a system where everyone knew their place? Because we don't need knights. We need equals, and that door, we can open it ourselves. Walk through together if you'd like, but don't mistake opening it for liberation when you're still controlling who gets to leave.